Alright, so just a few things. I got kind of a rant here about life. This isn't kind of the style of my channel, but I've just been thinking all night, and well, I'm in a mood, a weird mood. I don't know, because just thinking back to, I'm just gonna go back to last September, whenever I lost my Crown Vic, my first Crown Vic, the first one I had, Lost Sheep, which name is fitting now that I think about it, actually. But if I never would have lost that car, lots of things in my life would have never happened. Alright, so if I never would have lost that car, I never would have got the Grand Prix. If I never would have got the Grand Prix, which opened the door to a lot more things happening, like honestly me going to the first Crown Vic meet, which is, honestly sounds backwards, but that's how it is. And, like, if I never would have got that Grand Prix, obviously I would have never wrecked that Grand Prix that night, January 1st. Now, obviously, I didn't do that on purpose. Some people still think I wrecked that car on purpose, but good God, I did not. I loved that car. I honestly love that car. I don't want to sound dramatic, but genuinely, I fucking love that car. Sorry for my language. Anyway, if I never would have wrecked that Grand Prix, I never would have gotten the Monte Carlo. And when I got the Monte Carlo, lots of things happened that never would have happened if I never would have lost the Crown Vic in the first place. Like, I met some people that I never would have met. And, like, even going back a little bit, going back to the night that I wrecked the Grand Prix, if that would have never happened, I would have never gotten my job. Because the reason I got my job is because I had just wrecked my car like 2 or 3 nights before. And my teacher was like, hey, does anybody need a job, especially a summer job? And I'm like, hey, actually, I do need some money because I had just wrecked my car. Nobody wants to put money in my car that I just wrecked by falling asleep. Nobody wants to, and I understand that. So I get a job to pay for my own car to fix it. That didn't end up happening, you know, rest in peace Maverick and everything. But, like, if that night, that crash, never would have happened, lots of other things never would have happened. Like, everything at my job never would have happened because I never would have been there in the first place. And then even the night that I had that quadruple Big Minch cheeseburger, the hugest thing you could possibly make that's not even on our menu. Like, I had to create that thing. And that would have never happened. And when that did happen, I sent a bunch of pictures of it to everybody I knew. And then me and a certain person started driving around the next day. And nothing happened there. It's just, 2 people driving around in a car. Nothing. That's it. And they fell asleep in the passenger seat. And then my priority became, making sure they got home safely and everything. And that's it. But it showed me that they felt safe with me. And, like, that was a reassuring feeling. And then, like, honestly, all the fun that I had with that Monte Carlo, that would have never happened if I never would have lost that Crown Vic. And I have had a lot of fun with that Monte Carlo. And then when I finally did get that other Crown Vic back, that would have never happened if I never would have wrecked the Grand Prix, because that set a domino effect situation that led to me eventually getting a new Crown Vic. Which is honestly, I'm sad to say this, I'm very sad to say this, I'm sorry Lost Sheep, but genuinely, this Crown Vic is better than the last one. Like, we saw that video, those floorboards in that trunk were Swiss cheese. This one has barely any rust. There's more issues, more actual issues, but there's a lot less rust. So that's going to open the door to me being able to actually fix it, which I have so far, and I've learned how, and it's saved a lot of money. And it's costed less than if I were to fix that Crown Vic for the shop prices, which were like $7,000 or $8,000 in total. But it's just crazy because, like, I've been thinking, like, everything genuinely, like, happens for a reason. And if some things don't happen, then other things don't happen. But once those things do happen, more things happen. Like, I've even been thinking a lot lately. If I would have never dated that girl Angel, I would have never gotten my pink stuffed animal Angel, which has honestly kept me alive. Like, basically. Like, that's my person, my best friend. So, if I never would have dated that girl, and if I never would have sold my Xbox, and went shopping right after instead of buying car parts like I was supposed to, um, then I never would have got Angel. Because I went shopping, I got the girl I was dating, I got her Stitch. Which wasn't even going to happen if we didn't go to that other store. But we decided to go to another store, which is okay, that's fine. And then I got Stitch, I gave it to her right when we first started dating, just because I thought it would make her happy, you know? Because she said she liked Stitch. So I said, okay, and I gave it to her. And then she ended up giving me Angel, the stuffed animal, the first time we actually met in person. And, like, that was last July. And it's been, like I said, you know, almost a year since then, obviously. And that's crazy to think about. Like, life is just, if you think back, at least in my life so far, I mean, almost everything has happened and something has come out of that, whether good or bad. But in the long run, nothing really changed. Because last September, I had a Crown Vic. Well, let's go back to last July. Last July, I had a Crown Vic. It was running fine. I loved it. It was doing great. Alright? Now, by the time this July comes, my Crown Vic is going to have new tires, new brakes, new everything, probably. Going by the end of July, which last July, you know, the end of July was like the good thing. Because it was July 24th, I think it was. I got the 01s on it. Well, now, almost a year later, it's going to be. And honestly, nothing has really changed. I'm still going to have Crown Vic. This one's going to have a push bar. This one's going to have dual spotlights. New tires. Everything's going to be the same or better. And then also, now I have Angel, the stuffed animal. Yeah, I'm not dating that girl anymore. But the thing is, knowing what I know now, that I would never know some of that stuff if I didn't lose that first Crown Vic. And then eventually get the Grand Prix. And then it still never would have happened if I didn't wreck the Grand Prix that night. So, even though I didn't exactly control and want for things to go that way, I wish they would have gone a different way at first. Now looking back, I'm glad they did go that way because it's opened the door to a lot of different things. And it's just crazy how a lot of things are like that. Because I could come up with story and story and story about this, though I'm not going to. But I've just been thinking about this a lot lately, how everything just, one thing happens and then something else happens because of that. It seems simple, it seems tame, but then you think back about it and you're like, hey, if that never would have happened, this never would have happened, and this good thing never would have happened. If this bad thing never would have happened, then this great thing never would have happened. So all I'm going to say to the people struggling out there, including me, I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling, man. But to everybody struggling out there, for each bad thing that happens, something good is going to happen, and you might not even realize it until maybe almost a year later. And then by that time, you're going to be like, wow, I'm glad that happened. Right now, you're not. I know you're not. You're like, wish this didn't happen. This sucks. This is terrible. But in about a year's time, maybe not a year, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe longer than that. But eventually, you're going to be like, hey, I'm glad that this happened. And like, right now, that might sound crazy. Because a year ago, or even a couple months ago, this all would have sounded crazy. Like, no, this bad thing isn't going to make a good thing happen. That's crazy. But, and I'm not saying make bad things happen, but I'm just saying that I feel like everything is supposed to have a way that it's supposed to be, if that makes sense. And if something don't happen a certain way, then everything goes a different way. And I mean, yes, even decisions you make every day will affect that, I feel like. Because that, looking back, some of the decisions I've made, like to pick out that Grand Prix in the first place. And obviously to go to my girlfriend's house that night, January 1st, when, her stepdad didn't really feel good. And then
I should have either left a couple hours before I got tired, or had a nap with her and left a couple hours later. But I didn't really feel good anymore. I was too hot. That's what it was. I was too hot. The heat. And I was like, hey, I'm way too hot. I'm going to go get in the car, put on the AC. It's crazy that that car had AC, which plays a big role in the story, which actually made me tired because I had the AC on the whole time, which is crazy. And then the funny part is I didn't stop and get gas when I left her house. I just went straight back home, which I'm just thinking of this now. I just went straight back home. And by the time I got close back home, I was running out of gas. My fuel light came on. It said 0 miles to empty. I got scared. So I unplugged everything, turned off the AC, rolled up the windows. Yes, I have the AC on and the windows down. Don't judge me. Everybody's got to have fun in their life. Now, I turned off the music, I put my hat back on to go get gas. And it's just like everything that happened like led up to the next thing. So then when I got gas, I got back in the car, I left everything off. I kept my hat on, which kind of makes me tired sometimes when I'm in the car, which I don't understand why, but it just does. And so everything led to the next thing, all right? And then when I did, get further down the road, I started thinking, hey, maybe I should pull over because I'm tired. But I didn't. I chose not to. All right? And so then I ended up crashing the car. Now, if I would have known better, I would have stayed in the far right lane. But I was in the left lane, right next to the big wall. And I fell asleep, I bonked into that wall. And it's just, like I said, every decision could be different if I'd have known better. But now I know better. So the next time around, it ain't going to happen again because I know better than to do the same stupid things again. And I know this might not all make sense because I'm just kind of talking. I'm just kind of vibing. This isn't actual advice. This is just my story, really. And it's sad and scary, but it's also cool and kind of funny. If that makes sense. So all I'm going to say is, if you're struggling out there, good luck to you. And just remember, everything happens. You're supposed to say it with me, you wacko. Let's do it again. Everything happens for a reason. There you go. All right. Now, good night, everybody. Well, it's morning, but, I've been up all night with my thoughts, so it's time for me to go to bed. All right. See y'all later.